What's good, everybody? It is I, the Dark Mage. The only Dark Mage. Many have stolen my name. But there can be only one. Like the Highlander. I gotta grind up some more weed here. The coffee's a little bit cold. It could be heated up. I'll be sitting down here in a moment, but I am stretching a little bit. There's gonna be a mixture of death metal and chill out music today, so y'all can experience the highs and the lows, the the different polar opposites. The joy and the sadness, the fear and the courage. Yeah. So what are we doing today? Gamedev, C++, coding, RPG, roguelike, web browser based, all of the above and more. So sit back, relax, get a cup of tea or coffee or an energy drink. Let's charge up together. I want to thank everyone who's been following my work so far. We have a long road ahead of us, and we've come a long way already. There's a lot that I wish I knew when I was a kid growing up, in order to get to this point faster. Naturally, the tools available in the mid-90s were not as good as they are today. We've really come a long fucking way. When I was a kid, I saw a movie called Hackers. And prior to that, I didn't really have a solid foundation or a basis of understanding of what advanced computer usage was like. But even then, even before I ever touched my first Linux distribution, because of my first experience using MS-DOS, that's how I started using a computer, was fucking pre-Windows DOS. I've had an intimate relationship with the command line. The command line is everything. It is a thing that gives an individual the most power, the most control, the most freedom. Some people might see it as the opposite of these things. I disagree. There are cases to be made for when, like, a GUI is useful, right? Like browsing the web. And even then, there's a lot of people who are doing things with browsing and terminal. As an example of this, your favorite LLM, agents on ChatGPT and other sites effectively do this themselves in order to perform web scraping so that you might get a better answer to the question it is that you asked. So, getting as close to the machine as possible means that you have literally the ability to make anything that you want. The question often then becomes, what do you want to make? A lot of the things that we have today wouldn't exist if not for the fact that they solve fundamental problems. And I'm not talking about games, because the only thing that games really solve there's a few things that games solve, right? Beyond just like boredom and people having fun. Games often can be leveraged for research in other domains that have nothing to do with gaming. Games can be used to study human psychology. Games, like computer games in particular, kind of emerged out of like a need to optimize networking code. Like a lot of like the early like LAN games, especially like Quake, these kind of came about because of like a need to like optimize packet transmission. And like even early games like Pong kind of emerged out of a need to like be able to draw something to the screen beyond just simple characters, to also receive input from alternative hardware devices. Where's I going with that? Oftentimes I struggle with what to build. And often when I sit down to do this game dev stuff, I don't immediately know what it is that I'm going to work on first. Because as the game grows, the amount of things to work on grows. But I often take what I call a low-hanging fruit approach, where you take an existing project that's in some state. It could be any project, right? Like it is. I've tutored so many students at this point. It's like, if you have like a project that you've started and you say, hey, Dark Mage, I need your help. Can you help me pick it? Start working through this thing. I can help like isolate the next immediate obvious thing that should be worked on. Because if you push everything forward a bit, things should be smooth up until a point where you realize that the design or the architecture of the thing that it is that you're building has problems that need to be fixed. Because things wouldn't be not smooth if those problems didn't exist, right? So I've gone through several iterations of my engine in order to get to this point, and I'm really struggling rewriting certain things again, or rather trying to avoid rewriting. So like my gut keeps wanting to be like, hey man, we should redo dungeon and dungeon floor and tiles as classes. And I'm like, dude, do we have to do that right now? I don't think so. it would take a while, for one. Probably more time than I'm willing to work at the moment. And for the things that I want to get done now, need to be achievable within a certain time block. Because for one, I really dislike being in the middle of working on something and not like having arrived at a checkpoint. You know? Like, I absolutely hate committing broken code. Like, that's really like if I had like a company policy, no broken code can be committed to main or master. Either one. If you're working on some shit on your own, and you're in the middle of writing some shit, and you're like, oh, fuck, I gotta go take a shit. And you have to get up in the middle of writing whatever code that you're writing, and you have to go shit, and it takes you 30 fucking minutes because you had a huge lunch. You need a way to, like, remember what it was you were working on. To know what problem you were in the middle of solving. Because if you're not solving a problem, why are you writing code? Or if you're not creating something, or if you're not fixing something. And so it's really important to ask, like, why are you writing code to begin with? You know, what's the ultimate? People be like, well, I'm just trying to get a paycheck. Remove that from the equation, because we're all trying to get that. But not everyone's gonna get that through the code they write, or like as a direct result, or like some people get paid no matter what they write. Some people will be completely removed from accountability and not have to worry about how correct their code was. And that's like also not the point. The point is expression of an idea. Yeah. Already got any followers. You know, the problem with the checklist type system, I'll say, is let's see, the problem with the checklist type system is really more about, for me anyway, managing the list becomes a thing. Maybe I could use my own tooling that I can kind of upgrade off of like just like managing a raw markdown list. But I really like markdown and I like using it for stuff. So maybe there's a way for me to leverage writing a to-do list in markdown and then managing it using some other interface. But it's like I used to keep very detailed to-do lists, but after a while managing the list itself becomes its own task. And the point's not necessarily to create more tasks than you're able to actually get done. One of the dudes I follow on YouTube, I forget what his first name is. I think his last name is Bustamante. But he's that dude with the big hair who's ex-CIA. And he talks about like all their different psychological tricks and techniques that they use. He threw out a concept the other day that I was familiar with, but I didn't really have a word for until that point, called task saturation. And what this is when you have so many things that you have to do that it becomes like a huge like cognitive drain. And so by reducing the number of things that you have to do and then focusing on like the fastest thing that you can do, because he used a really cool example where they might be interrogating some subject who then turns violent and whips out a bunch of guns and shit. You went from a previously chill situation to a very hard and intense one, and all of a sudden your tasks become saturated, right? That's really nice that Emacs has all of these things. That's why Emacs is considered a whole ass operating system. But I like figuring out my own way of doing things rather than like trying to use someone else's solution. If it comes to it that like using someone else's solution kind of aligns with the way that I want to do something, then it kind of makes sense for me to actually sit down and try things out. But I like building my own infrastructure first before like locking into like someone else's thing anyway. Because at least then I develop an appreciation for the problem that I'm trying to solve to begin with, right? Because it's always the case that, you know, someone out there's done something longer and maybe in many cases better than you can do it. But that doesn't account for the default, which is that I'm going in thinking, I don't know what software's out there. And I'm not about to go look either, because I haven't even tried to build my own solution yet. It's like if a game company saw another game out there and it was like the same game that they were making, do you think that they would go, oh, well, these guys did the game before us, we better not even try to make a game. It's going to be a waste of time. If that were the case, we would never have Final Fantasy. We would never have Unreal Engine. We would never have Duke Nukem. We would never have Sonic. Pump It Up would never exist. Guitar Hero would never exist. So on and so forth. But the only thing I really care about doing with regards to managing a list is having top level items, having sub items beneath those items, being able to mark those items complete, edit those items, delete those items, and that's about it. So in other words, it's basically just a tree. You have a root node, you have n children per node. Each one of those children gets marked true, false. Because for me at this point, having like the layout of that sort of structure, all I would really need is an interface. And as you've already seen, I like the terminal, and I like REPLs, and I like CLIs. And being able to create a terminal inside of NeoVim is very useful, because I'm able to just run whatever I want here. And if I wanted to run a second interface that managed the to-do list, I'd be able to do that. And the nice thing about doing it within NeoVim is that any output that I end up generating, I can like copy from that terminal into a working file I might be, coding at the moment. I think that's cool. And I don't have to use Emacs. Because Emacs's key bindings are fucking awful. And I don't want to have to like take the time to remap them either. And I don't want to have to think about, oh, this conflicts with that, or have to conform to an Emacs way of doing things. Because I don't like the way they do things. Like, I cannot even begin to express how bad it is to have, like, control and meta as, like, keys to do something. For the editor, anyway. Like, I'm so used to Control-C and Control-D and Control-Z for signal term, signal kill, and signal suspend. And generally speaking, I can't think of any cases outside of like page up and page down where I need to hit control. And for page up and page down, it's really kind of natural for me because down is control B, page up is control D. And so I can hit those with my left middle and my left index, or my left ring and my left index. And like control C and control like control C I can hit with my index, but control X as a like I forget if it's control X control C or control C control X that's used to quit Emacs, but that alone is infuriating. Like, it actually makes me emotionally upset to even think about pressing that key combination. Like, my wrist is hurting just thinking about it. So don't want to get too distracted, because as you can see, I clearly hate Emacs. And I want to think about my first thing that I'm going to be doing in today's step stream. very great that I've got one friend in the circles who like Emacs and can argue for it. But gun to my head, if you said use Emacs or die, I'd say fucking kill me. I'd say end my life. Because I don't want to live in a world where I'm forced to use Emacs. I don't want to live in a world where I don't have a choice. And even if someone has bad reasons for why you think they don't want to use something, or that all of their concerns can be, hacked around and stuff, it's like, okay, well, that's only one half of the equation. It completely ignores the experience of using some other software. Like, it would be interesting to hear you go through using or configuring something that wasn't Emacs, for instance. But at this point, you're kind of like locked into your system. And so you can understand why someone would be hesitant to want to change. It's like, why does anyone else have to change? Why can't you change? And if you can't change, then why should you expect other people to change as well? Because everyone has their preferences and everyone has their way of doing things, and I think it's really important to remember that. Because one of the reasons I don't use Windows is that they make it very difficult to get anything done. I have very little ability to customize. And a lot of the things that are given to you in Windows, it's just expected that, oh, this is the way it is. This is how you have to deal with it. I don't like that. Okay, what did we get last time? Oh yeah, right. I think I was gonna rebind pickup item to be backslash forward slash. No, not backslash. So we probably want to display some more information on the inventory menu about each item, right? I don't even think necessarily, I'm not even sure what information I'm currently attaching. It's been a long time since I've done any work on the items. Okay, here we are. Thinking about writing a function that simply gives us a randomly chosen vector within a certain space. So we could actually define a rectangle. The reason I'm defining an extra rectangle instead of just like using the Raylib one is that the Raylib one is all floats, the same with their vectors, which is great for OpenGL. It's great for the graphics aspect. But I often want to aggregate coordinate data structures together like this. And I could use like std tuple or something like that, you know, if you wanted to really get into it. But at least this way I can kind of be explicit about like I don't have to necessarily remember how many items are in something because I'm specifying it. Alright, so we're going to create a new function because I want to start like randomly placing these. Random location. But once we verify that they've passed in a valid rectangle, and actually we're going to pass z in as a parameter. We need to pull in Raylib in order to use get random. In this case, the min is going to be r.x, and the max is going to be r.x plus r.w. Similar for the y. And then we can just return that. Which means over here now, we forgot the 0. All right, first build. Yeah, I definitely want to clean up some of these warnings. Oh no, failed to get tile. Oh, it just literally randomed, I need to actually do -1. See, one of the benefits of this, like if get random location weren't a inline function in a header file, then when I made that change just now, it would have been the only object that I would have needed to recompile. Which is kind of useful, right? So like, I might actually change that, so that's what we do when I get this working. Okay, so there's the axe in a different spot. Although it is randoming in the same spot, which says to me that the random number generator is not properly being seeded. This would actually be useful for certain things. Damn, we got some chats. My leader key used to be tilde back on regular Vim. Like, I have a lot of respect for, I think Richard Stallman was one of the primary, like, Emacs people back in the day. Oh, lib logic. Oh wait, no. All right, everything should still build after that. Right, so the last thing I want to do before we start cleaning up these warnings is feed the RNG, because I thought it was supposed to be doing this by default on its own, but if I have to explicitly do it in the init, I mean, we SRAM'd up here, but I guess this doesn't apply to calls done by Raylib. Now I think about it, we will need to use the regular random stuff. So maybe I actually do have to do this over in liblogic. Hopefully it doesn't yell at me like, oh, the window's not initialized. Every so often I run into some like weird bugs. There we go. Now it's showing up in different spots. Oh yeah, it's not equipped at the moment. We don't have a way to equip at the moment, because we were going to redo, kind of like respec out the equipment model a little bit. Actually, it may not really change all that much. Might just change the name of a few things. It's still effectively just going to be a component. So like, if an entity is an NPC or the player, and you attach the weapon component, well, we would have to explicitly call it the equipped weapon. And even then, like, this does not afford or give an ability to have dual wield, which I think kind of sucks. And we kind of want dual wield. So back in D&D games, I remember it being like primary weapon and secondary weapon. Take a little breather before we start knocking out these warnings. And then I think it's going to be time to plug equipping the item back in, because that'll give you something to do after you pick it up. Like, it'll give you a reason to go into the inventory to begin with. It might be useful in the future if I throw in some key bindings that like allow you to instantly use an item without having to pull up the inventory. So you might be able to set like a quick item class or something like that. I also have to figure out a way to handle stacks. Then I can display like a little tiny number to indicate like how many of a stack you have. So even then, what we'd have to do is have like functions that compare items. So like given two entity IDs, check to see that they're both items. Check to see like what type of item they are. You know, basically match down all that stuff. Which is even more reason for me to consider like fucking turning some things into classes, because it would make comparison a little easier. But even then, that would kind of violate some of the ECS stuff that I'm trying to do here. Like, turning the tiles and the dungeon floor and the dungeon into classes makes sense because they themselves are not, like, entities. The entities represent, like, the things in the dungeon, right? Like, items in your inventory, other NPCs, items that might be on the ground. All of these things represent things that might actually be entities. I haven't even gotten to spell effects yet. Well, the music died out on my end. I'm not even sure what track is playing right now. Fortunately, there's a fix. If I go into OBS, currently I have it on monitor and output, but every so often the monitor dies on my end. Like, y'all could still hear the music. So I have to do click, go to monitor off temporarily, and then go back to monitor and output. And I've got music again. I want to smoke, but once I'm back, I'm gonna like crush through a lot of these warnings, and then we're gonna get equipment working, or at least like equip weapon to start with. Because once I have a lot of this stuff plugged back in, it's gonna give me a lot of incentive to like start putting a lot of things all over the dungeon floor again. Because we want enemies to also be able to equip things. Yeah, I like this track. This track has really hardcore, like Diablo 2 vibes for me. How's everyone doing today? I see y'all watching. So when I get back, I'm going to be knocking out a lot of the warnings. Last time I fixed the make file because apparently I didn't have my flags in the right location, so I wasn't actually seeing the warning information when I would go to compile my game. Now I can see the warnings. Now I can actually fix them. Because warnings are a good indicator that, like, something about your logic is incorrect. It might lead to a crash or a bug later. That's not to say that, like, it's the only indicator. And it's not to say that you can't, like, compile code that won't crash just because it doesn't have warnings. But it is a good chance to kind of review some basic things. Some of the warnings really may not matter as much as other things, but it is a good practice to kind of get into a workflow of doing. Like, you don't want to necessarily be the type of person who just like blows off that information. You know what I mean? Eventually, she's going to wake up and we're going to go do some business. Papa Dark Mage going to have a smoke break first. This track is one of the tracks I selected to be actually in my game. I don't care if it was AI generated, because this actually sounds good. That said, I do plan on having human-made music, but it's nice that I can kind of speed run creating music stubs that I can just put into something and don't really have to like think that hard about creating a proof of concept. Because you can always go back and swap stuff out. Nice. Talk to us about the Kimmy model, dude. Because I literally just deleted all of my my AI models because it's been about a year since I've downloaded any new ones. And when I'm not streaming, I've got a fucking 3080 that I'm able to use for local LLM stuff. And I think it's worth looking at because in the best case, the speed of output is incredibly fast. I just have to figure out what's the best model to load, like what's going to perform the best in terms of both speed and like code correctness, right? All right, so let me step back out here real quick. Hopefully the opening and closing of the door will trigger her to kind of become alert, because otherwise pretty soon I'm gonna have to wake my baby up. It's just about 1:30 Central Time right now. Got coffee on the way. Whoa. 1274. I use variable x 937. Nine oh four. Position on variable spaces. coffee, hot water is ready, so I need to go get that. Let's see how many times it can print before I get back. Oh, the baby's awake. Thanks, Anna. You got ahead of me there. Sweet boy. Alright, well, since Gracie's up, we're gonna go and take care of that business real quick. No, don't scratch that. 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 I gotta start the hot water again. Hold on. Hey, Betty. Most of these warnings are just about unused variables, thankfully. So I'll feel a lot better once they go away. Variable y item 1. Line 37. Oh, that's a lot nicer. Alright, we're done. Message. No warnings. time. It's time we actually got equip working again. So we can have combat again. But all the pieces work again as they used to. So when you click or hit enter on an item, right? We want something to happen visually. Like some sort of context menu that would pop up and allow you to like manage it, or because like another thing I could do is like just have really simple keybinds where like you hit E to equip or U to unequip or D to delete or drop. Or enter to use. We need something real basic because we want the ability to like drop the item, right? So let's work out the code to drop an item, right? See how Copilot handles it. See, that doesn't work. It's making up some bullshit. This might actually be a case where I have to write something new. Knowing that inventory is a vector, there's basically a pointer to a vector, we should be able to do just like Excuse me. Uh-oh. Something's not being updated. Oh, I know. That looks like that's working. Although we would want to actually, I think, close. Well, shoot, no. Because there might be points where you want to, like, drop multiple items. I was thinking, like, maybe I want to close the window because we don't have any more items in it. But it's... the point being, it's working. So let's pick it up. There you go. That's working perfectly. Um, I can answer those questions. So I will answer those questions. Armin Kara asks, I have two questions. Can I develop 3D games C++ with Raylib, or should I use OpenGL? Raylib uses OpenGL underneath the hood. In fact, it makes it easier. It also gives you the ability to do raw OpenGL if you want to, or if you need to. But it also comes with a lot of pre-written functionalities that should make doing 3D a lot easier. Actually, if you go to their website, they have a number of different demos demonstrating all of their different 3D capabilities. I highly recommend you check them out because they come with source code. Excuse me. They come with source code included. They're very good reference guides. You can do a lot of 3D. You can even load in Blender models and animate them. That's really one question. But then Ahmed Awan asks, although he doesn't really put a question mark, but I'm assuming this is a question. Best Linux for development. The best Linux for development depends upon what you're working on. Not to mention, there's so many Linux distributions out there. I can only really talk about the ones that I've used. I can briefly mention ones that I've heard of and haven't used yet, if ever. Because life is short. You know, do you want to really spend your life trying different Linux distributions, or because understanding that all a distro really is kind of a fork off a pre-existing distro that does something a little bit differently. As an example of this, Kali Linux is basically like a fork of Ubuntu that comes with a ton of pre-installed stuff as well as specific package repositories. Ubuntu is a fork off of what I'm using, which is Debian. So one of the reasons that I migrated back to Debian, and actually all of my servers run Debian, I've always liked the package manager, but in particular, Ubuntu's installer does not give really good ZFS file system support out of the box. Whereas I can do a proper ZFS install using Debian. So that was one of the major decisions I made there because I built my system to be a bit fault tolerant. So if one of the drives fucks up, there's a secondary drive that has a copy of everything. And I do this for my externals as well. I've got two 4 terabyte drives, and then I have 2 more 4 terabyte drives that are a mirror copy of the first 2, just in case one of the drives fails. If I wanted to get really hardcore with it, I would have made 4 copies instead of just 2, but Arch has a lot of support right now. It would if I were going to try a new distribution, it would be Arch. Real talk. But at that point, it's what am I trying to achieve in doing this other than exploring a package manager, because in the best case, most of my existing like software and day-to-day workflow could be just r-synced over to an Arch box, and it would all magically just work perfectly. In fact, I had that experience when I copied my stuff over from Ubuntu. Yeah, that's what everyone says, Jack. Everyone calls Arch bleeding edge, which is really just to say that they're more willing to like put certain new versions of software as the primary version when you like go to install it from their package manager. And this is to say that in the worst case, it leads to things breaking in certain ways. And this is one of the reasons that like distributions like Debian have a lot of older packages as their primary thing, like when you go to like apt install it, right? Artix. Interesting. I think you're the first person I've heard of using Artix. But I'm familiar with OpenRC from my days in Gentoo. In fact, Gentoo's package manager is based off of FreeBSDs. I think it's a port of Portage. Like, and I always thought Portage was really cool. It's like, I would try Arch, but I just remember how much fun I had like being lead with Gentoo. I tried Void, but when it came to building A-Sprite, and I think the solution here would have been, if I was aware of it at the time, to use Liber Sprite instead of that. But when I tried Void and I went to build A-Sprite, I learned that the version of Muscle that they were shipping with at the time, I don't know if they've changed it, did not have create pthread as a function. So I couldn't continue in the build process. And then I broke my whole system trying to upgrade Muscle. Like while the system was live, I actually like attempted to install and like like a new version. Whole thing came to a screeching halt. Totally beyond recovery. It wouldn't even boot. Game over, man. Game fucking over. Thankfully, I did that on an older box before I built this new one. This new one I didn't want to really waste a whole lot of time with. So early on when I first booted up, before I really copied a lot of stuff over, some people started yelling at me on IRC about ZFS and why it was so great. And when I realized the system I was building, I was like, oh shit, because I ran into a real problem that necessitated this. I began to experience situations where, because previously I only had one SSD in there for like my operating system drive, and every so often the motherboard would just stop recognizing the fact that there was a disk in there at all. I'm like, what the fuck, yo? I couldn't figure it out. So I ordered a new SSD. And then I ordered another SSD. So I've got like this old spare one somewhere around here that I was gonna like actually do like surgery on my PS5 and use it because, you know, it's like a terabyte. But so now I have 2 terabyte SSDs, NVMe. What do they call them? It's got a special acronym, like really thin sticks, basically. and they're mirrors of each other, so that if one of them fails, or the motherboard decides it's going to be a shithead and say, "Oh, I can't read your disk," like a fuckwit, at least I'll have a copy of everything physically on a separate device. So if one of them dies or fails on me, then I'm not totally fucked, and I can actually still operate. It's never happened to me before, but it's also my first time like using these type of drives. It was really nice to see that, like, when I built this machine, not much had changed in terms of CPU construction at home, like building your own desktop. In the time span between then, which was October-ish of 2024, and before that, which was December of 2006, the difference in building a computer between 18 years has not changed that much. It's kind of comforting, right? It's kind of nice to know that some things change, but a lot of things stay the same. Fucking computers, man. This is why I do what I do. Because when I was like 13 years old or something like that, I got this book that was like, learn C++ in 24 days. The problem was it was a very Windows-centric book, and it was very centered around Windows, like, or Microsoft Visual C++, which was really like the standard at the time. It was like the shit that everybody was really trying to like pick up on, you know, at least to the point where they managed to sell a book to a teenager who really didn't know what the fuck he was doing back then, but he knew that somehow I had pieced together that like this was the way, and this was the thing that I needed to know. Because when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I got a pirated copy of Visual Basic 3.0 on Windows 95, and it was magical. It was the craziest shit. Like nowadays, my adult self would go back and be like disgusted and revolting at that software. But at the same time, my childhood self, this was like liberation. This was like freedom. This was as close to the command line as I could get, because I didn't know which direction I had to head to that. Sure, I could have been fucking around with like MS-DOS shell stuff. I did a little bit, but at the same time, being someone who wants to make games, Visual Basic and then Visual C++ were at the time my path for all of that kind of stuff. Naturally, I got very sidetracked by building websites, but that's another story. Music has decided to shit a brick again. There we go. I think I did actually delete some of this code. Oh no. Right here. It's really blowing my phone up. Put a pot of lentils on the stove. Starting to get the munchies. how fast Copilot is. Oh, that was close. Equip works again. Super basic though. And we have no we don't have an implementation for unequipping yet. Nor do we have any visual indicator that it's like currently equipped. So those are like now low-hanging fruits that I would want to like work on. Like we could have like some sort of E symbol to indicate that it is equipped. Not the best code in the world, but it should work. Oh, sick. Oh, sick. It fucking worked. First shot, dude. And I got really lucky with the text size. Like really lucky. There's no reason that it should fit inside that box. That's total fucking random luck. Holy shit. Yo, what's happening, Gokon? Yeah, no shit, they'll say products are boring as fuck. Yeah, I remember when Gateway computers was a thing. It was like Gateway was like luxury, like top of the line type shit. And an Alienware became like the big de facto standard. Because remember, we have no unequipped mechanism at the moment. But yeah, this fucking works. Baby girl's probably smelling the food that I'm cooking. We probably gotta go back out for a little bit more business too. She heard that. Alright. Take another little break here. It's 3 o'clock. Got some food on the way. We're all gonna eat over here. And then we'll get unequipped rolling, as well as make sure that like you can't drop an equipped weapon, or if you drop an equipped weapon, it unequips it first. So I can already think like I've got a bug there. Like when implementing new features, you have to make sure that certain other things work previously as intended. Great. In there, right? Alright, my bowl of food should be ready. Means I want to get these animals something to eat also while I eat. Alright, we're back. Let's eat some late lunch. You can't good. You're gonna cut the back side. Yes, you know. Was that good, Nano? Was that good? Was that good, buddy? Come here. You can't squeeze through there. What are you doing? This way. Go. Over here. I got you. His butthole facing the camera, dude. Holy shit. I also didn't mean for the choke break sign to come back on. Grace is gonna be upset till I finish. She likes to smell. It's a shame, dude. Dogs should not have Indian food. But I'm sure they would fuck with it. me check the chat. Oh, there's a chat, but nobody's really chatting. Okay. Whoop, they gone. Great, so what am I doing next? Oh yeah. I thought about it earlier. Oh. Well, you missed the programming. Appreciate you calling me handsome and young. Neither of those things are true. Yeah, I was programming for over 2 hours. Think I can do this on an empty stomach? Hell no. Let me teach you a little bit of programming before I get back to programming. There's this concept called input and output. Realistically, long-term development is kind of a stamina game, right? Like, the way that you run a 100-meter dash is very different than running a marathon, right? And a lot of game developer streamers might go for super long periods of time. But even they have to fuel up at some point. I guess the real question is, what are we doing next? Oh yeah, let me put it. It's a kind of a bug. I feel like I was dealing with this at one point before. This is why I fucking hate having to deal with animation. There was a lot of nuances along the way. Really annoying to deal with. In the best case, everything works first shot like it did earlier, but average, that's not the case. Damn, my Discord is getting blown the fuck up right now. Damn, we clocked 100 views. That's fucking awesome. Can't thank y'all enough. I wonder, now might be a good time to actually put an enemy back in. Feels right. Oh wait, we're on master. So if you drop an equipped item, the implication is that you unequip it. Because you should not be able to drop an equipped item. Or I could force you to unequip the item first and make it two separate actions. That's a little bit punishing, because then the effect of like dropping an item doubled because it's equipped. You see what I mean? This is a little technical nuance. The question is, which way do we go? Do we, like, how would it work in that? I never tried to drop an equipped. I generally don't. So one thing we could do is just like disallow that if it's equipped. But then we have to like every single time that we're adding a new like equipment slot, we would have to basically check that new slot. So the list of slots grows, so too would our check when we go to drop something, which gets a little bit kind of a blah as far as implementation goes. It kind of sucks. There has to be a better way. Because even if we go the other way, we would have to check the slot anyway. So first of all, drop item has a lot of ugly code in it. A lot cleaner. Uh-oh. There's some other bug, probably involving like item placement. Hopefully you shouldn't even need to pass in weapon ID. Yeah, we never finished writing this. Wait, no. It just accepts weapon ID and then doesn't use it. Yeah, this was all like one-shotted by Copilot. That's why I was confused. I like. I guess it really doesn't matter here. Like we can just unequip it without any sort of like negative consequence. And later, if the order ends up like changing or like we need to unequip it before it's removed, we'll deal with it then. Bless. So this way, at least when we drop the weapon, it'll unequip. So that you don't have to like worry about whether or not it's equipped. Grace says she needs to go use the bathroom again. Come here. Little wasp outside. Fuck that guy. Tell him no. You don't want to fuck with him either, I promise. Alright, yo, what do you say? I think it's time to put some enemies back into this game. Let's test out the drop. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no, it's not unequipped. Oh no. Oh shit. What the fuck happened? Did I not save it from before? Maybe that's what happened. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I just forgot to I forgot to save that file. So everything's okay there. I'm going to take a look at one more thing. The music died again. Naturally, all the combat mechanics are going to have to be turned on again as well. This has been such a slow process. I am absolutely going to avoid, like this whole process of rewriting things all the time. Which is why I converted to C++, because everything that we write now, it's like, this is it. So we're stepping our way back towards combat. Basic NPC interaction. It's 4 p.m. and I've almost been on for about 4 hours. Coming up on 3 hours and 50 minutes here. We've gotten quite a bit of views today. I'm very happy. Better than expected. As usual. Just how we like it. It was a good time for us to take a break, though. There's a lot of stuff that I probably should be doing that doesn't involve working on this game. But I find that getting started doing streaming better earlier, we're having a lot of luck with people showing up, so. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. It is just about 4:10 p.m. Central. This is Grace behind me. And I'm Dark Mage. NanoCat is over in a baby carriage right now. So, until next time, everyone. Take it easy.